this is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I'm going to answer the very simple question that I get sometimes is, hey John, what size dehydrator do I buy? Well, that's a complicated question. I can't just say, oh, buy this one, it's the best. I don't know which one you need to buy. As you can see, we have the Excalibur 4 tray dehydrator here. It's actually quite small, it has a much smaller footprint than the 5 tray right here, which is a lot larger, and the 9 tray, which actually takes up the same footprint. What's the footprint? Well, it's how much counter space the dehydrator takes up. These two actually take up the same footprint. The only difference is that this one is a little bit taller, while this one takes up a lot less space, approximately maybe like, 20%, 30% less space. Because the tray size on the 4 tray, let me go ahead and show you that to you guys. The tray size on the 4 tray is much smaller than the tray size on the 5 tray. So you can see there the tray size difference. You get more space on the 5 tray than on the 4 tray. So although it's only 1 tray more, you actually get a lot more space. So the 4 tray is approximately 4 square feet of drying space. And on the 5 tray, it's just 1 more space, but you get 8 square feet of drying space. So you get literally double the space of drying in the 5 tray. And jumping up to the 9 tray, you get 15 square feet of drying space. Now that sounds like a lot of drying space, but let me tell you, it goes pretty quickly. When you're buying a microwave, they basically have like 2 size microwaves, like a small one for like a dorm room, and then the larger one for, like a business or something like that. And with microwaves and ovens, you put things in, they cook, and then you take them out, they're done. You can then put something else in and then cook it and then be done. With the dehydrators, because they work on a longer time cycle, like 8 hours or 24 hours in some cases if you're drying at a low temperature to preserve the nutrition, it runs a lot longer, so you can't really put something in and take it out as quickly. So that's where a big dehydrator may have some advantages. So let's go over a couple scenarios that may help you decide which dehydrator is best for you. So the first scenario is, say, hey John, I have a budget, I can't spend that much money. What dehydrator should I buy? Well, each of these models are different prices. It goes from the least expensive to the most expensive. So if you're really on a tight budget, you might want to get the 4 tray. But the 4 tray, once again, only has 4 square feet of space, so it's not that big. I would highly encourage you to upgrade to the 5 tray, which literally doubles your space, and it's not too much bigger. Another question that may come up is, hey John, I don't have a lot of space in my apartment. I live in New York City, I have this much counter space, and well, these dehydrators, you don't need to put them in your kitchen. Like when I was in college, I put my dehydrator literally in my closet and kept it running and dehydrated things in my closet with the door shut. Now, yes, they do get a little bit loud with the fan whirring, but I kind of found that soothing myself. Some people may not like the sound. But the other thing is my roommates were really cheap on actually turning the heater on. So having this in my closet served 2 purposes. Number 1, I was dehydrating my food. Number 2, because it generates a small amount of heat, it kept my room a little bit warmer, which was really nice. So yes, you can put these, on top of your refrigerator, in your laundry room, in your bedroom, in your closet. They can go pretty much wherever there's an electrical outlet where they'll have some space behind it for aeration. Now, I wouldn't want to, seal this up inside your oven and then have it run. That might not be too good an idea, because I had a friend actually that stored it inside his oven and turned his oven on and melted the dehydrator. But these can be put in places, the utility room, the garage. They don't need to be in your kitchen if you don't want it there. So even if you have a small kitchen, you could put this somewhere else so it doesn't have to be in your kitchen. If you do have a small kitchen, obviously you might want to go for the smaller 4 tray machine. Another factor you may want to take into consideration when buying a dehydrator is how many people are in your family. Are you single? Do you have a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Or do you have a family of 10 kids or 4 kids? In general, the larger your family, the larger the dehydrator you should be buying, because they're just going to eat all that dehydrated foods up. I mean, for example, I could fill up when I first got my dehydrator, I'd fill it up dehydrating stuff, and before the dehydration cycle was done, I'd eat everything that was in there, and then it'd be done. And then that was just me. And if I had a family, man, I'd probably need at least 2 dehydrators. So if you have, once again, a large family, might go for a bigger one. A smaller family of maybe 1 or 2 people that's not going to eat a lot of dehydrated foods might be able to go for a smaller one. I guess that's another criteria right there that you may want to consider is how much dehydrated foods do you want to eat? If you want to just snack on some stuff sometimes, maybe once a week, you could go for the smaller one. But if you're going to be eating dehydrated foods on a regular basis, you may want to get a larger one, because let me tell you, I can fill this thing up with some kale chips, and I can pretty much sit down and eat all the kale chips it produced in like one sitting, and they'll be gone, and then I need to use and make more and forget about it. If I had the 4 tray, man, I'd just be pretty much wasting my time with that. So another factor you may want to take into consideration is if you're into what's called vegan, vegetarian, or raw and living foods. So vegan, vegetarians, and people into raw foods eat a diet that's rich, hopefully, in fruits and vegetables. And especially if you're into raw foods and living foods, then actually you don't even cook anything. And then pretty much all the foods that you would quote unquote cook would be from your dehydrators. So if you're into raw foods, I would highly encourage you to buy the largest size dehydrator you could, such as the 9 tray, because once again, making something like kale chips, they go really fast. And the thing to remember about selecting the size of the dehydrator, you could always run your dehydrator with 1 tray full, 4 trays empty. 2 trays full, 4 trays empty. You could run this one 4 trays full, 5 trays empty. But if you buy the 4 tray and it's all full and you have extra stuff to dehydrate, there's nowhere to put it. So you could always run it full, but you could never add on space to your dehydrator once you bought it. So that's the negative thing with the Excalibur brand dehydrators. So another factor you may want to consider when buying a dehydrator is if you're a gardener. So if you're a gardener, like I'm a gardener, I grow so many peppers and tomatoes and kales and things I want to dehydrate to preserve. Lemon verbena, mint, you could dehydrate all the herbs and make your own teas. The dehydrator is essential and very useful for preserving your harvest in the most healthiest way possible. Of course, you could can your tomatoes and all this kind of stuff, but when you can your foods as a preservation method, you lose all the enzymes and you lose significant portions of the nutrition under the heat. With the slow, gentle dehydration method, you're preserving the enzymes and more the nutrition so that they'll be available for you to consume and eat. So all I know is in my garden, I have so much yield and crops in my garden, especially during pepper season or tomato season. I could fill up like 4 9 trays, but I only own 1 of them. So in that case, if I had the 4 tray or even the 5 tray, once again, forget about it. It wouldn't be working for me. So if you're a gardener and you like growing food, highly encourage you to get the biggest one that you possibly could afford. So another reason you may be buying a dehydrator is if you want to preserve your own meat, such as make beef jerky. Say you're a hunter and you take down a deer and you want to make deer jerky. I never had deer jerky, but say you're a fisherman, you can make fish jerky. I've done that actually before, a long time ago. You have a whole deer, a whole bunch of fish, right? And you got to fillet these things nice and thin. So even though you have a whole fish, when you put things in the dehydrator, you got to slice them very thin. Now the space between the trays on these machines are 3/4 of an inch, and in most cases, they're going to tell you want to slice the things fairly thin because, this is not a cooker. This is not cooking anything. It's literally evaporating the air off the food. So in most cases, things need to be sliced really thin to dehydrate properly. So the looks can be deceiving. Although there's 9 trays in this one, let me tell you, if you're dehydrating fruits and vegetables or game meats or fish, you're going to fill it up fairly quickly because you're slicing thin slices off and you're dehydrating that. So that's another factor to consider. Once again, if you are a hunter, you may want to go for the largest model you could afford so you can dehydrate as much as you possibly can. So let's go ahead and put this door back on. So while we're putting the door on, let me talk about the doors and how they work. On the Excaliburs, all the doors basically just hang on the front. There's 2 little tabs on the doors that just sit on top. And it's not totally like flush, and this is actually designed this way for a reason. Sometimes they may wobble a little bit, and that's just fine. That's just how it works. And so the 9 tray and the 5 tray they hang on the 4 tray, it basically has these little guides that just guide in there. And the reason why this is not super tight, because if this is super tight like your refrigerator, none of the moisture could escape and your things wouldn't dehydrate. So it needs to have the airflow comes in from the back, gets pushed across the food, it evaporates the moisture off the food, and then the moisture escapes through the holes in the side, and that's why these doors don't fit on exactly tight and are a little bit loose. It's very important for the dehydration process to take place properly. So I hope you've learned more today about the Excalibur dehydrators in this video and given you some insight on what size may be best for you. Before I go, I did want to share with you about the different models of the Excalibur dehydrators. On the 4 tray, there's only one model, the Excalibur 2400 model. But on the 5 tray, you have 2 different models you could choose from. You could choose from the Excalibur 2500 and the 3500 model. The 3500 model comes in the white or the black, and the 2500 model only comes in the black. The 2500 model is the economy model, and the 3500 model is the deluxe model. Now the deluxe model always has basically improved components that are going to last longer, plus twice the warranty. So instead of 5 years, it has a 10-year warranty. It also comes with this book here, Preserve It Naturally, which is 200 pages. So for the little upgrade in cost for the deluxe model, you're going to get a $25 book that's going to basically teach you everything you've ever wanted to know about dehydration, as well as get twice the warranty, which I think is definitely worth it. And on the 2900 and 3900 models, it's the same difference. The 2900 model is only in the black. The 3900 comes in the white or the black, and the 3900 also comes with this book and has double the warranty, so 10 years instead of the 5 years. So I think the 3900 model and the 3500 model are definitely your best bets to get if you're going to get the 9 or the 5 tray, respectively. So you may be asking, John, so your video helped a lot, but what do you own in your house? Well, I'm a gardener. I grow lots of food, and actually I eat fruit and vegetable-based diet, so I eat lots of fruits and vegetables. So actually I own the 9 tray model myself, and if they had it like a 20 tray model, trust me, I'd be buying it, but they don't currently have one unless you buy their commercial unit that's like $5,000. So maybe most people, if they want to dehydrate more, they'll get like a 2 9 trays or 3 9 trays. You know, actually recently at a restaurant, they're using the Excalibur brand dehydrator. So most people into what's called living in raw foods, they go with the 9 trays. So if you're into that, that's probably what you're wanting to buy. So in any case, no matter which Excalibur brand dehydrator you buy, feel confident that you're buying one of the best brand dehydrators on the market today. These are still made in America after many, many years, and I don't know if there's many dehydrators that are still made in America. So buy American, support Americans. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.